Hi everyone and welcome to today's YouTube. I'm going to be making a watercolor card. So I've been taking part of the Altenew Academy classes and I have also created a card for the Creative Watercolor Media Class. So what I'm doing is I'm actually just playing around with the Dahlia blossoms and then also the wallpaper art. I'm also going to be doing some heat embossing. I've got this Altenew paint pans that I've had for a very long time, and all I've done to prep that is before I started my recording today is to just spritz it with some spritz water just to get that a little bit moving and going. I've also got the Canson watercolor cardstock here, some Primary Ebony superfine embossing powder, and then also my Wow Clear ultra slow drying ink. And then because I don't have a powder puff, what I do is I actually got a really soft bristled brush. I use that to prep. Now one of my favorite tools to use is my MISTI. This is the regular size. I've also got a mini one. This one here, it's great because I'm watercoloring. What I really want to do is make sure that I am going to prep my cardstock, and I need to make sure I've stamped the image and got enough coverage for the powder to stick. So once I've prepped it, I will use my clear sticky ink. I will stamp on the watercolor cardstock here, and then I will heat set this. One of the biggest tips I could probably give you is that to always prepare your cardstock. Now usually with Wow embossing powders, they're all made with they layer all their bottles with an anti-static agent. However, I live in Australia, so it's actually quite humid here, so it retains moisture, and so does my cardstock. So it's not unusual for me to always prep my cardstock, have a brush nearby to brush away any flyaways. Now I tend to do that also with the black embossing powders, to make sure you really prep your cardstock, specifically if you are using white and you're setting on white cardstock. So I always brush away any excess powders. I probably didn't have to be overly cautious in brushing away on the outside, purely because I'm actually going to trim this really close to the edge, or right on the edge, after I've watercolored these. So once I was finished brushing that out, I have a Wow heat tool here, and I'm using heat setting 2. Heat setting 2 is really good for melting the powder and it's also got a faster speed, and so it works really great for heat setting. If you want more a drying element, lower heat setting, lower speed, you would use the heat setting 1. A lot of mixed media artists usually use heat setting 1 on those who have our heat tools anyway. So once I'm happy with these, I actually cut it down purely because I needed to work with one floral image at a time. I make one of the florals here darker and one lighter. I colour one at a time, and I spritz just to add a overall saturation of water on the actual cardstock here, and then I pick up the ink that I've already added some water to, and just work my way with each petal. I also have a clean brush handy and a water just there to my top left, and I have this handy so I can clean any of the residue or the actual pigments on the actual other brush and spread it around. And I work one petal at a time. So this is probably the longest part of the whole card. I enjoy watercoloring. I enjoy the process. I'm not great at it, but I do love it. And so if you're doing something that you love, just keep going. All right, and practice makes perfect as well. I love the rich, almost like a raspberry type of raspberry, blueberry type of purple. There were so many colors there at once. Of the richness of this paint. Hopefully, once I save up a little bit more, I can get the 24 pan. I've read up and got some advice on the 24 pan from Altenew, and it's a lot more richer in pigment. So I can't wait to play with that. Maybe it's on my birthday wish list. Okay, so once I make my way through each petal, I do apologize, you can see my head in the view. I didn't realize I was concentrating so hard on my watercoloring, I just popped my head in view. Now I pretty much go through the same process. So I stopped filming and moved on to finish my watercoloring on both of these images here. And you can see how they look up close. I went more a softer pink, still with mixing it up, but I used 2 of the colors and more so of the second darkest color in that paint panel there. And that's mine 2 floral images. Now I'll fussy cut that offline as well, and I'm going to use the leaf set from the Wallpaper art, and I'm going to use Red Pearl embossing powder on black cardstock. Now I'm not too sure if you've seen the pearl range, but I love on dark cardstock how shimmery and another color that comes to fruition with regards to this. So I wanted that a subtle background but noticeable enough on black cardstock, and heat set this. I found this really worked well, this particular cluster of leaves, on how it draped on either the corner. I was using a lot of force that I knocked my camera with my shoulder just then. Too much PCR, too much CPR. All right, now once I am happy with that stamped image, I pull my embossing powder and heat set that with my heat tool. Now I do keep the speed on normal time when heat setting this, because I really wanted you to see the magic of the pearls and how cool it is. Just brushing off any excess. I tend to be a little bit too finicky on this part again, but that's okay. Now once I'm happy with brushing most of it off, using heat setting 2 again on my heat tool, I will heat set this. Now it's actually got a red undertone, but because of the shimmery iridescent, it does look a little bit pink, but in different lighting it is absolutely beautiful. It's a deep red undertone and a pink undertone, however it matched the actual pigment paints of the actual panel, and I loved that it coordinated in a way. Now once I'm happy with this heat setting, I will adhere this panel down on a top folding white cardstock base. And because this warps slightly, I will use a lot of foam out tape behind that. Then I'll fussy cut these watercolored images out. And from the Crafty friends, I'm going to use one of their sentiments there. I've got a lot of crafty friends in the community that I love sending surprise cards to. And one of my, I suppose, 2021 goals is to send more of these type of cards out. I've got a lot to be grateful for, and I've met a lot of beautiful crafty friends in this community, and I cannot thank them enough for their support, friendship and kindness. So once I've stamped this out with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink on a strip of white cardstock, I'm going to angle the strip. I'm going to adhere it to the bottom right, and I'm going to angle it in a way so it has like almost a different type of feel. I love cutting my sentiment strips not always in a rectangle format, but adding a little bit of pizzazz by just angling off a side of it. I give it a little bit of a trim as well, just placing it down and figuring out how much I want to cut off the excess. You can also hear the parrots in the background here at my house. In the background, just a little bit of, ad-lib background noise. And sticking that down with Tombow Mono adhesive. And that is my card creation for today. It is fairly simple. Again, it's all about enjoying the watercolor process and playing with the Altenew paint pans. So thanks for everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's card creation, and please leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel if you like this kind of content, and I look forward to reading your beautiful comments.